Hey guys, welcome to One Mustard Seed Soaps. This is going to be a video about how I make my hot process soaps. The process is a little bit longer than cold process soaps, so this is going to be quite a lengthy video, but I have had a lot of requests about the two different styles and how I do it, so I kind of, I've shared some tidbits with you, but I wanted to just do a complete video. It's not really meant to be a tutorial. Although I probably did give enough detail to be a tutorial, but mainly it was for my customers and friends who are wanting to kind of delve in and see what it takes to make some soap. The soap I'm going to be making is a restock. It's Sunshine. It is a natural soap and it's got essential oils in it. This is the finished product, so I'm actually filming this after I made the soap. But you can see it's got some, I was infusing some oils, and it's got some calendula, annatto seed powder, paprika that have all been infused in olive oil and added to this so that it has a natural colorant in there. The specks that you see are organic calendula running through it. So I hope you enjoy the video. Again, it is a bit lengthy. But hopefully you'll learn a thing or two about some soap making, so stay tuned. Okay, so preparing to make one of my hot process soaps. This is called Sunshine, and it's a natural soap with natural colorants and botanicals. So there's some prep that goes into this. So what this is, and I'm just going to run this through, this is just a coffee filter. This is my olive oil that has been steeping calendula petals for a long time, couple months. And it's got just a little bit of sediment, which really, honestly, it doesn't matter because I'm going to put calendula petals in this anyway, and here they are. I'm not sure I'll use all of that, but they will go in at a different time. And this is, though, what has made this olive oil this beautiful color. So if I wasn't putting other colorant in it, this soap would turn out much of a golden yellow type of color. It's kind of light, but anyway, calendula has just got the most amazing benefits. If you do a little research on calendula, anything you can get, balms and lip balms, lotions, anything that you can get that has calendula in it is just a bonus. They're actually marigold petals is what they are, and they just have so many antioxidants and all kinds of good stuff in there. And I've done some posts on Facebook, if you follow me, that explain a lot of what that is, but in the interest of not making this video too long, probably will not go into all of that. So I was going to run this through here, and I decided why, because I'm putting that in there anyway. So this is paprika that has been steeping. Basically, I put the paprika in with the oil, and then I heated it for several hours in the crock pot on a very low temperature. And then it's been sitting also, just steeping in there. But there is sediment in there that I do not really want in the soap. It wouldn't hurt anything, but it might make it a little bit more exfoliating than I want it to be. So I am going to run this through the coffee filter here, like my little setup here. This is so that the won't move, because I feel I need two hands. So let me just, I'm going to try to get about 2 ounces out of this and see where I'm at. All right, so that is 2 ounces of that. Might need to stir around the sediment to get it to go through here. It's not wanting to. right, so I had to change my method because that was taking forever. That was one mighty strong coffee filter, not wanting to let anything go through it. So anyway, this is going to be the Annatto seed powder. I hope I'm saying that right. And again, listing on Facebook all of the different things that this can do. Great herb taken internally. Really do some research and see if it can help something. Or actually, I mean, even if you don't have anything that you need help with, this is just a great one to take. So I'm going to put 2 ounces of this. And I'm going to use this cheesecloth to catch any sediment, just because I'm trying to keep this. It's okay if it's mildly exfoliating. I just don't want it to be harsh or real scratchy. Okay, so 2 ounces. Oh my goodness, I just waited forever. I can't even tell you. All right, so mostly I use doTERRA essential oils whenever I can. They do not make a sweet orange. This is a tenfold orange. They make wild orange, and I tried to use that in soap. It just didn't turn out very well. So I have another reputable company that I get a few of my oils, essential oils from, and this is one of them, the orange. And then to that, I am just going to add a little bit of cassia, and I mean just little because I don't want a lot in here. It will be plenty diluted. I just want a little bit of a cinnamony smell. And then ginger, I'm going to add about 20 drops. And these are therapeutic grade oils, so it doesn't take very much. And you kind of have to do some research and figure out what is even a safe usage to do. But I've been working with essential oils for a long time, much longer than I've been doing soap. So I'm pretty comfortable with my usage rates. This is Ylang Ylang. I think I'm saying it right. I say it wrong a lot. And just to give a little bit of a floral to this, and I'm just going to do 15 drops. I think I just counted right. I was thinking while I was doing that. Anyhow, so this will be a light fragrance actually when all is said and done. This is less of the recommended fragrance that I could put in the soap. I'd rather err on the side of less than more with the fragrances and the essential oils. So that will get set aside, and this we're going to do very, very, very last. So another thing I add to the fragrances is just a teeny bit of arrowroot powder, and that will hopefully help the fragrance to stick. Essential oils do tend to fade in soap. Usually when you lather them, they will come on back for you, but the arrowroot is an attempt to help the fragrance stick, and it really settles at the bottom, and I just have to keep stirring it and stirring. Okay, so on to milks. I've got my coconut milk in here, and then I fortify that with, now unless this is a vegan soap, if this is a vegan soap, I do not put buttermilk or yogurt. I can use the coconut milk, but there's some changes that have to happen if you're doing vegan. But so this is, it's a half a tablespoon of buttermilk. That's the one. And buttermilk powder is actually more concentrated. I love the way it makes the soap feel like silk. Love it. So I put it in almost all of my soaps unless they're vegan. And then this is coconut powder. And since I use the pourable kind of coconut milk, I fortify it also with the coconut powder. And that is a whole, did I just use a whole tablespoon of that. And this is organic And then the yogurt, stir this up a little bit. The yogurt I put in here also. Well, actually, before I go on to the yogurt, hold on. Sorry, I'm getting myself out of order here. I put in most of the soaps, especially the hot process. Get colloidal oats in here as well, and they get like a heaping, half a tablespoon in there. All these things just to nourish, nourish, nourish. Can you imagine in a store bar of soap? You don't even get one of these things. And that's why people come back to me and say, my skin is so much different. It really is very simple reasons. Just simply the way it's made, and the fact that the glycerin stays in the soap instead of getting taken out like they do in a lot of the big companies. They take the glycerin, the natural glycerin, sorry about the bump, that is produced in soap. They take that out of the soap and then sell that, you know, they bottle it, sell it. So you get all the good stuff. So then I put, oops. These are kind of supposed to be tablespoons full, and this is a teaspoon, so I just heap it. And this is organic plain yogurt. I usually just get this at Aldi, to be honest. Put that back in the fridge. All that goes back in the fridge. And so the reason that goes in there, and again, wouldn't go in the vegan soaps, but the reason it goes in there, it's probably really good for the skin with the fat content, which is what you're after with the milks, the fat content, the lactic acid that is in here. But also somewhere someone discovered that in hot processed soap, if you, at the end, when you're adding your milks, put yogurt in also, it keeps the soap more fluid. So my vegan soaps are hard to get into the mold because I just have to do it, pour it right away. I let the batter on those, well, on all of it, get to a temperature that is conducive to putting the essential oils in, but then the soap is, you know, really getting stiff by that point and hard to work with. So if you have other additives or colorants that you're trying to put in, or clays or anything, then it's harder to do, like any kind of swirl. So the yogurt, if you use it, you pour it in there and stir it up, put the top back on it, and go away for like 5 minutes. And literally you come back, and hopefully this is going to show on the end of this video when I'm at that point, that it makes it just makes it all fluid again, so that you can, if you were trying to do a multicolored hot process soap, then at that point you could put in whatever colorants you're using, whether or not it's using mica, which I try to stay away from anything that's not natural in my hot process soaps. I can do all that in the cold process soaps with the mica colorants. Some people consider them natural, some people do not, because in order to remove the impurities, they do have to go through a process. That's a whole nother video. But anyway, I try just to make these soaps, you know, they're rustic anyway, so I don't try to be too fancy with them. Try to get too fancy with them. Nice English. Can't stir and talk at the same time. Anyways, this is looking good. Looks really, really nice. So that, you know, is going to go on your skin after I make the batter into soap. This gets put on. Later in the video, you'll see. And then that goes on your skin. And these are the things that are making these soaps so much different than anything you could buy in the store. All right, next step, I'm going to measure out my oils. So I'll put the butters in here, then I'll mix up the lye water, probably come back and show you the lye water mix up to show you how it heats up and everything. Then I'll pour that on here and then stir that up, get them all melted, and put the soft oils in, which then will be this olive oil. And anyway, I'll probably video some of it, probably fast forward through some of it, so that you don't have to sit here. It will become painfully long if you have to sit and watch all of this. So I will get started on measuring the oils and bring you back in when there's something more interesting to tell you. Okay, lots of people ask me about this silk. And the silk that I use is like this. It's, I'm not sure how to say it, Tussah, Tussah, I think. Anyway, I pull a little bit. This makes the soap shiny and silky. So it's strands of silk. You can get it also in a powder peptide form, but I just use the silk, and I just put it in my distilled water. I just let it drop in there. And then put that away. I have my lye here, and these are lye flakes. A lot of people ask me. Lye is a form of it's sodium hydroxide. It's a form of drain cleaner. It is, got a lot of warnings on it and everything, but honestly, you cannot make soap unless it's just solid, butters out of it, or it's melt and pour. And even melt and pour, I think they might use the sodium hydroxide. So in the olden days, they took the hardwood ash. There's some really cool videos on this, doing this modern times if I wanted to make it myself, which I'm not that ambitious right now. And I don't have a fire pit. But anyhow, so they would take the hardwood and they would burn it down, get the ash, put it in some water. It would do what it does. I don't know, ferment, chemically react. I don't know. Then they would let it sit for amount of time, and then they would heat it up, and I believe the crystals would rise to the top, and that's what they would scoop off the top of that and use for lye to make soap. So that's the way they did it in the olden days. Now, of course, in modern times, we have, manufacturers that make it, and then just send it to us. I think it might not have been white way back like it is these days, but anyway. Also, I will eventually put in some sodium lactate to this, which is a form of it's like a liquid salt. And that helps the bars to harden up and helps me to get them out of the mold. So that will be going in there. And I'm going to go ahead and pour my lye into my water. You always put the lye into the water. If you don't, it could explode and hurt you and cause a big, huge mess. So I have never done it the other way because I have listened to the warnings. So I'm putting on my gloves. And I'm putting on my lovely, lovely goggles. And I will pour this in. Now, when I was just beginning soaping, I would do it little by little, but now I don't do that. I just dump it. After you get comfortable with what it's going to do, then stir, stir, stir. And there can be some fumes involved while I'm pointing it away from you. You can see the steam. I don't know if you can see the steam rising now, but it has taken on a temperature. So if you're mixing this with like a tea, or when you mix it with beer, it smells really bad. Sometimes I do wear a mask. Today, this is pretty generic. So it's fine, I'm not going to do that. And it's pretty much melted already. And let's see, it'll melt that silk too. And then just for fun, I want to show you the temperature. If I can find my, there you go. So this is my little thermometer guy, and now the temperature has gone to 205, and you can see the steam rising. So it's jumping around there depending on where 208, 207. So it's really, you know, it's really hot. And when I'm making cold process, I either let this sit, let it sit overnight, put it in the refrigerator to cool it down, or if I'm making goat milk soap, I freeze all the goat milk and coconut milk and everything first, and then pour the live flakes little by little. That's a whole nother video. But for now, we'll just let this sit over here, and I'm going to mix my liquid oils. Got my hard oils in here, and I had the crock on for a little bit, so they're kind of melted. You can see how messy and everything this all is. Take those off for a minute. And so I'm going to do my liquid oils here. Another thing is, and I've already done this, I already measured out my butters for after the cook, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but while I was measuring out my shea butter for in here, I measured out also my cocoa butter and my shea butter to use after I cook this. And then we need to put in our other soft oils. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will be back. All right, I went ahead and put in my kale and clay, and that way that'll melt all in there, and it helps it to break down and not be clumpy. And now I'm going to measure in. I have all of my soft oils in, but now I'm going to measure in, my olive oil, which is the olive oil that was infused with all of those goodies. So we're going to go ahead and measure. I don't really know how much I have here, and if I don't use it all, I can use it in my next batch, which is having these same infusions. And also, I should mention that not on camera, I just didn't have the camera on, wasn't thinking about it. When I put that cheesecloth and poured the oils through that, when I looked at the bottom of the bowl, there was still quite a lot of sediment. So I went ahead, I did that 3 more times. Well, I guess 3 total times. I did it twice, and then I think on camera, I can't remember. Anyway, I did it 2 more times than whatever I did on camera, back and forth through the cheesecloth. So it got out, you know, hopefully all of that sediment. Now, what you see in here floating around is just the kale and clay, which is going to get broken up. With the stick blender. So these are all my soft oils. So what I'm going to do now, I'm probably not going to talk during it, is I am going to put my lye water in with my hard oils, and that is going to heat everything up. Then I'll put my soft oils in. That's going to cool everything back down. Then I'm going to turn it on. Well, then I'm going to stick blend everything. Try not to forget to put this in. And then it will cook. So I'm going to just get ready for that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so it's go time. Feels like it's taken me forever because I've been on and off with the video. So I am ready to get this mixed together. So I'm going to pour my lye water. As you can see, it's still very, very hot. The silk is melted. So I have my gloves on, and I've got my goggles on, and I'm going to go ahead and pour the lye water. I think I'll just use this. This is fine. Well, that didn't even work. Never mind, I'm not going to do that. I was trying to avoid some of the bubbles, but I think I made more. But that's all right. It's not the end of the world. So you can see that just so hot, it just melts that the rest of the hard oils. And as soon as we get them all melted, I can pour the, I feel like I'm really close to, I don't know why, but I don't like stirring this with this little tiny spatula. Where's my big one? Sorry, just use this one. Let's see what the temperature is. So the temperature went down, I'll show you, significantly. It was, there you go, about 122, 120-ish. It was like 175 when I put it in there. So it came down a lot. And since this is a hot process and it's gonna get heated up anyway, back up to, ooh, sorry, must have a little accident there. Let me move you back. Got it caught on my glove. This is gonna get heated back up to at least 180, probably closer to 200. I don't want to dry it out, so I'm pretty particular about how long I heat it. So everyone's like, oh, I'm so afraid to lie, and that's exactly how I was when I first started doing this. But you can see it's really not a big deal as long as you know how to work with it. There was like it was a total non-event. It was just hot, and now it's not. Now what's happening is the lye, it's a chemical reaction that happens right now. So the lye is attaching to the oil. But the way this is right now, there's too much lye and not enough oil in what I have here. So I'm gonna add my soft oils, and that's just because I was melting it. That's the only reason. So I'm gonna add these, and this is where we're gonna get this color. So excited. Ooh. Awesome. All right, and now I'm gonna have to scrape the clay that's in there out. And that was just a regular white kaolin. Now we're gonna see the temperature go down a lot. My oils these oils had sunflower oil in it, which I keep in the refrigerator. So they were cooler. I took this down. Just try to get every bit of oil that I can out of here. I always go like a little bit over on the oil because I always want to make sure that, you know, some residual that gets left in these bowls, or could be left in the bowls. I always want to make sure my measurements are over on the oils. That'll just be more goodness for your skin. All right, so now things are going to start happening quicker. So I'm excited to see what color this soap is actually going to turn out to be. Beautiful color right now. Another thing about coloring with herbs is that they tend to fade over time. It's not like putting in a mica or, you know, an oxide or a colorant like a, you know, red number 4 or whatever, which I don't use any of that anyway. But you know, those colors are what they are. The micas, they sometimes change when the lye, you know, as they cure, but then by the end of the cure, what you've got is what you've got. It's not going to change much after that, or at all after that. All right, so we're ready for some stick blending. We are just about ready to cook. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on to get it heated. Let's just see out of curiosity. All right, so we're back down to 103. So that's perfect. Just ready to cook. And we're gonna stick blend this and get this really mixed up. See all those air bubbles coming up? Ooh, looks like pumpkin. All right, so see, now it's getting traced. See how it goes? You can see the lines that I'm making as I'm twirling. That is what trace, whenever someone says trace, that's what they mean. So when you're doing cold process soap, which I have been doing a lot of lately, you need it not to be at trace when you're doing the swirls and stuff, so it stays just very, very fluid, just very liquidy. Well, everybody does this part a little bit differently, but I cover my soap with saran wrap, and I do not uncover it again. I know what it looks like when it's done, and I'm not gonna say there's never been a time if I realize a crock pot is giving out on me and it's not cooking in the middle, but I think this is not a crock pot that's gonna do that to me. I've had one yesterday that did. But I try not to open this saran wrap once it's cooking. And that way, all the moisture stays in. We're all good. And it just needs to cook. So we will see how long this takes. All right, so we are looking good. I have turned the crock pot off to let the residual heat cook the batter. It's a pretty orange color. Let's just see what temperature we are. Oh, 180. One 60, 170, 180. So we're pretty good. So now the chemical reaction has taken place, and it is now soap. It looks like, because of the color, it looks like pumpkin puree, actually. But I don't know if you can see the consistency of it. It is like a, I don't know, like a Vaseline-y kind of. It's got like a sheen to it, like a shine. That means it's done. And at first, when I first started doing this, You know, I worried every time about whether or not it was done, but like all the soapers that I watched when I was learning, you just know. So you can, if you're questioning it, you can take a little bit of it and put it on your tongue, and if you don't get zapped, which I have done, but it's really hot, obviously, and it burns your tongue, so I tend to just know. And this is good. This is what we basically did here is force the soap to go through gel phase. So it's cooked and it's done. It's no longer caustic. And now I'm ready to add my additives to this. So I'm gonna add my, I had it kind of melted, but it's not as melted as it was, but it's all right. It's gonna melt in here. These are all the butters. It's cocoa butter, shea butter, and also there's some almond oil in here. Get all that goodness in there. Give that a stir, and while I'm stirring that, what I'm gonna do, I'll get all that butter goodness in there. It'll melt on in. Pardon me 1 second while I turn the fan off, the ceiling fan. I don't want it drying out the batter while I have the lid off. All right, so you can see that's just melting. This is the honey. And what I've done is taken organic raw honey, put a teaspoon of water in there. I'm just gonna heat it for honey gets so hot so quick. It's like you don't need any time at all. And it's so hot you can't touch the glass. So I'm just stirring in all those butters. And this is why when I explain about hot processed soap, it's one of the reasons I like it so much, is because, especially for people who need a lot of extra moisture on their skin. So you know, the soap was already soap. The chemical reaction had already happened. So that means that all of that extra butter, the butters and oil that I just added, it like goes on the outside of the soap. It's not, it's part of the soap, but it's not part of the chemical reaction. So it's almost like you get like this extra moisturizing layer. I love it. I love each style of making soap for different reasons. But I love that about this. All right, so the honey, it's still, I want it heated a little bit more than that. So that's nice and liquidy. Now I'm just going to pour that in there. That's the honey going in. Now you're getting honey on as an extra additive and layer in your soap bar. And now what we have to do is wait for this to cool some before we can put the milks and the essential oils in. And this is where things get tricky for me because I have to go pick up my son and nowhere near here, and this is not done. So I might be late. All right, I'm gonna turn the camera off and come back when this is ready for the next step. All right, back to check temp again. See how we're doing here. You see it's getting sort of a crust on top, which it's still so hot that it's fine. It just melts right back in. But I'm trying to get this poured so I can go grab my boy. So let's see where we are. Oh gosh, we're still pretty hot. See, I stirred it and got that bottom out. And I don't like to leave the lid off because, you know, the moisture evaporates. Sorry about the bumpy. And I also don't like to pour the milk in too soon because it will cook. So I'm gonna have to leave this another few minutes. All right, so hopefully this is gonna be cool enough because I need to go. So let's stir this. Still pretty fluid. Now, if I left the lid off and let this cool down, it would just get hard as a rock in one big blob. And it's, yeah, okay, so it's down to in the 160s. Well, once it's close enough. So it's definitely cooling. So here's what I'm gonna do. Now this is tricky because I don't want it to cook. So I'm trying to, I try to get this in. Occasionally I'll get a little bit of white dots in the soap from this. And it doesn't hurt anything, but I'd like to try to get it all in there without that happening. Sorry, bumping you. And I can feel, even as I'm stirring, it is getting harder to stir. The milk and yogurt does make it more fluid, but until it sits, I can feel with the air hitting it that it's definitely getting harder to move around. Or my arm's just getting tired. Maybe that is it. To keep these areas on the side down in the soap, or otherwise they will harden up and become crumbly, and then I don't want them in the soap. So all of these little things you learn. So now, I could add the fragrance oil, but I'm not, or the essential oils, I'm not quite yet, just because I want to wait till the last minute to do that and get it as cool as I can possibly get it before I do. But I'm just going to let that sit for another couple seconds, just to let the yogurt and milk do its thing. I'll be back. All right, so you can see, oh yeah, this is, if I were doing a swirl in this soap, then I would do it now because I could put it over here and mix it in. I'll do that on another video. And this, you know, the consistency now lets me do that. But I want to hurry and get this in. Just stirring that arrowroot powder in there best I can. Now again, try to get this in here. Alrighty. So now we're just going to bring this over here. Let me move this. Put these here. Hopefully you can see. I'm going to put a little bit of orange peel on top. And then I simply, for this one, it's pretty easy. I'm sorry. I know I just blocked your view. Let me see if I can. This oval crock, I like the way it cooks, but okay. Sometimes it's hard to get it on the video so you can see it. Okay, so obviously this one still needs some. That is about it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was long. The process is long, can be long, especially, you know, when I'm taking my time and really trying to explain. And again, this was not really meant to be a tutorial. I just have so many customers and friends who ask what is going on in that house that takes you so long and that you're always, you know, always doing. So this is it. This is what I do. This is my Friday night activities. No, I'm just kidding. It's Monday. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you will hop over and like me on Facebook and like this video if you did. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day.